Hello and welcome back. We're here again to discuss Married at First Sight UK. We are in week 3. We're going to get straight into it. First, let me just say please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss next week's episodes and follow me on social media. The Philosophical Love Coach on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Threads. So, let's start. Let's start from Nelly and Stephen. A lot is happening with these two. Okay, I'm going to start with something that Stephen did that I deeply disagree with. So, Nelly and Stephen had an argument, a confrontation, still regarding what happened in the previous days when Stephen went out with the other brides and grooms and didn't check on Nelly when Nelly wasn't well. And I totally get it that Nelly was annoyed. It's absolutely understandable that she wanted to discuss this. But what Stephen did was he called her a fucking idiot. Name calling. No. No. It's not okay. I'm sorry. So, I know. We think, oh, but maybe it's happened because, you were very angry and you said something and you weren't thinking about it. Still not an excuse. Because name calling is a habit. Is if we are used to it, if we think it's okay to do it, but we hold ourselves back from doing it because, it's not polite. When we are in our most heated moment, when all our emotions come out, this will take us back to our most naked self. And if in our most naked self there exists name calling will come out because we won't be able to control what we're saying. Like, for example, you know how people tend to swear in their first language when something like sudden happens. Like, for example, me, I don't know, if I hit my head and really hurt myself, the first thing I say would be like, "Ay, fanculo," I revert back to the first language because it's my most naked essence. It's what's really in there without masking, without anything. So, if in my most genuine, deepest essence there is name calling, when I can't control myself because emotions take over, I will revert to name calling. I won't be able to control myself. But if there's no name calling there, because that eradicated the habit, because that is not part of me, because I've worked on ensuring that I never ever even think those things about my partner, it doesn't matter how angry I get, I won't go there because it's not there. Yeah? So it's not excusable. I'm sorry. It's not justifiable. How angry or how upset or how annoyed you are doesn't justify calling your partner an idiot, or because why would you do that? Like, why would you attack them personally? Like, call out their action. If you're angry with your partner, call out their action. This thing that you're doing is stupid. Okay, maybe in an angry moment you can say that. This thing, I don't understand it. I find it stupid. You are stupid is different. So let's keep this in mind. I'm sorry, Stephen. I completely disagree with what he did. He needs to really, really do better on this and apologize to Nelly because it's not excusable, as I said. I'm sorry. But I'm not done with them. because I want to talk about Nelly. So during the second commitment ceremony, Nelly brings up this episode. She says he called me an idiot. Of course, Nelly is upset. And of course, the experts ask, Stephen, what's going on? Why are you behaving like that? We don't understand. Like, what's happening? Stephen finally opens up and says, I'm going through something really hard. My stepdad is in hospital and my head is not here. I can't prioritize this. I can't prioritize the marriage. I can't prioritize Nelly right now and the relationship. I'm just like so worried and overwhelmed with what's going on in my private life that I'm finding this really, really hard. And this is when I think Nelly shows that despite being a lovely person, a genuine person, a person who really wants a relationship to work and really wants to love and be loved, she has a lot of work to do on herself too. So, sitting on that sofa with her husband crying because of what's going on in his private life, she reacted in a way that if we react like that, we're going to alienate people. We're not going to connect with people. Because loving someone goes beyond being focused all the times on how the relationship is going. And I'm sorry, Nelly sees everything through those filters. Everything is a sign that he doesn't like her, is going to reject her. He's distant because he's going to reject her. Her fears get so triggered that she's not able to focus on anything else. I am not criticizing Nelly or pointing fingers. I used to be Nelly, you know? A genuine, good person who wants to give love but is so scared that she's going to get rejected again that she can't see anything else. When Stephen is there next to her crying, she still talking about how she felt. Yes, but I didn't feel prioritized. Yes, but I felt rejected. Yes, but I want to see you behaving like you did during the honeymoon. This is when you put your ego and yourself on the side and you go, oh, you need my support right now. You need me to be there for you right now. You need me to have your back. You are going through something, and right now, that I don't feel prioritized doesn't matter because I need to prioritize you in this moment. And we can use it as like a learning experience for the both of us. We can say, look, next time, if something like this happens, if you feel overwhelmed, if you something is going on with you, don't shut me out. Don't start becoming hostile. Come to me and say, I'm going through that, and we'll figure it out together. But in that moment, I'm sorry, what Nelly did, she didn't ask, how is your dad? Maybe, maybe it's editing, I don't know, but I can only talk about what we see. She didn't ask, how is your dad doing? How are you doing? Can I give you a hug? Oh, we'll go home and like talk about how you're feeling. I'm sorry, but being a really good person like Nelly is, unfortunately, is not enough. our ego can always be the main focus, because I know she's like, even being like a good person with a good heart, with a genuine heart, is not enough if we lack empathy. And sometimes we don't lack empathy because we are a bad person. We lack empathy because we are so scared that everything keeps going back to ourselves and whether we're going to get rejected. And that's not going to create connection. So, yes, Stephen did do a lot of things that I disagree with, absolutely. But at the same time, Nelly needs to learn to switch the focus from always his actions mean that he's not interested in me to his actions mean that he's a human being with a life of his own, and sometimes I need to be there to support him. So not always he has to show me that, I'm the center of attention in this moment. He can't prioritize me. I'm gonna have his back. It's like she's got tunnel vision. It's like, oh, it's distant. It's gonna reject me. And he says, I'm going through a very, very hard time. Yeah, okay, I understand that, but don't make me feel rejected. You know, empathy. My partner is going through something. Switch the focus on him. Yeah. A couple who's given us a great example of how being each other's cheerleader is so essential for a relationship are Maeve and Joe. Listen to them. Listen. Joe keeps saying, uh, yeah, tears in his eyes, talking about this. Like, he got so emotional. He kept saying, she always has my back. She has a heart of gold. They always support each other. They always cheer each other on. They always have each other's back. You can see it. And that is such a great foundation. Without that, there is no healthy, loving relationship. Love is selfless. What does it mean? Does it mean we should let someone walk all over us because we're selfless? No. In fact, we should walk away, run away from someone who's even trying to walk all over us. Does it mean not setting boundaries? No. Setting boundaries is an act of love for ourselves and for our partner. So it doesn't mean any of these two things. But being each other's safe space is essential. Look what, for example, what happened with them. Joe said he worries that he will hold Maeve back from going out with her friends because, he has had past of struggling with alcohol and he doesn't want to go back there and do too much partying. But he realizes this is important for Maeve. Maeve likes going out, spending time with her friends. He doesn't want to hold her back. He's not coming from a place of control. He's not saying, oh, now you're with me, no more partying. This is not your priority anymore. I'm your priority. No. He's saying, I want her to experience everything that is important for her. And Maeve says, don't worry, you're not holding me back. I like to spend time with you and go out a little bit less than I used to. Not because I have to, because I like to. Even in that, we can see how there is support for something that to a lot of people could seem silly, like going out is not important. Even there, Joe goes like, I know it's important for her, so it should happen. You know, always having each other's back, always supporting each other is so important. What happens in in-laws week with these two? So Maeve and Joe were doing something I think is so good to do, but a lot of people who give relationship advice to others will say is bad, which is living in the moment. Joe and Maeve were living in the moment. They meet Joe's mom and they start talking about potential future. What is it gonna look like? Who's gonna move where? Who's gonna go where? They all have, their families, their friends, their lives. So they haven't thought about what's going to happen in terms of moving in together, bringing this relationship to the next level. And good they haven't, because the relationship is not ready for that. So, am I saying, oh, do not plan anything, just go with the flow? No, in life, planning is good. If we want to get anywhere, if we want anything to happen, if we want to achieve anything, we need to do some planning. We need to know where we're headed. We need to know what steps we're going to take. Yeah? So planning is good. Obsessing and worrying about things that haven't happened yet, this is not planning. This is just like stressing out for the future. And that takes away from the present. The present is all that we have. The future doesn't exist, it is in our head. These issues, oh, we're not gonna know when to move and where, they don't exist. We're just creating them in our head. If one day we get there to that point where we have to discuss where we're going to live and whether we're going to move in together and how it's going to look like, we'll cross that bridge. We don't need to obsess over it now. Why? Because the relationship is not mature enough to have that conversation. So after 2-3 weeks of relationship that they've had, they can't have that conversation because they don't have the foundation to make those decisions. So worrying about this is only going to take away from the present moment and bring nothing. In 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, whenever they feel ready to discuss moving in together because the relationship is mature for that, they will know how to tackle the issue because they have the foundation for it. So when Joe's mom and Maeve's friend say, you're not thinking about the future, you're living in the bubble, let them. They are creating the foundation for what's going to come by being present with where they are at the moment. And as soon as they said that, they start getting doubts. They were like so in love with each other and so happy with everything they had, and instantly they start getting, oh, maybe I'm so in my head with all this process and all this bubble, and this is why I feel so much love. Because why? Because they're starting worried about the future. What is it gonna look like? Where are we gonna be living? Is it gonna get on with my family and with my friends? Calm down. You're not there yet. Bring it back. You know where you want to be in this relationship. You know, you have a plan. Like, oh, I would like this relationship to get to a place where we live together, we build a life together. I'm not saying don't talk about that, but look at it from the point of view of today, of where it is today, not of where it will be in 2 years. We don't have magic balls that we can look into and guess the future. So let's not do that. So let's hope Joe and Maeve don't get too in their head with all these thoughts and, can continue that brilliant relationship. But I want to keep talking about support. We talk about support lacking with Nelly and Steven. We talk about a brilliant display of support Joe and Maeve are giving us. And Devani, what happened there? So, I already mentioned last week that I found it uncomfortable to watch when Julia Ruth was having a confrontation with Stephen and Devani didn't intervene, didn't have her back at all, just obviously Julia Ruth must have felt uncomfortable too, because she did call it out at the commitment ceremony. Um, and Devani's explanation to when they asked him, why did you not do anything to support Julia Ruth, his explanation was, I didn't want to add fuel to the fire. But I'm sorry, having someone's back doesn't mean adding fuels to the fire. It can look in whatever way makes you comfortable and you think is right in that moment. Like, he could have just said to Stephen, look, Stephen, uh, what Julia Roos is saying is true. Nobody's saying that he should have gone up to Stephen and be like, oh, why are you talking to my wife like that? Oh, I'm the caveman. No, you don't need to start a fight or be like, no. But just say, you see that your wife is having a hard time. Just say, no, Stephen, it is true. You did say those things. Or move up to her and hold her hand. Or try to diffuse the situation. I don't know, but do something. But pretending that nothing is happening, looking the other way while your wife is here having a hard time. No, sorry, Devani, you need to do better. This is like a huge lack of support. However, one thing I'm not sure I understand about Julia Rose, and because she keeps repeating, she keeps talking about this episode. Apparently, when they were on the honeymoon, um, Julia Ruth asked Devani, what is your biggest fear? And now she says that on that occasion, Devani became very intense and started describing all his deepest, darkest fears, and that she found it really a lot, and that she doesn't want this like super intense and super like heavy mood all the time. And I get that, but at the same time, I'm wondering, if you don't want like a deep conversation, intense conversation, why would you ask a question like, what is your biggest fear? I'm sorry, but that is not a question that is gonna result in giggles and cuddles. If you want to set the mood for a light, happy time, ask a different question, like, what's your favorite movie? I don't know, something else. But, or, what is the best place you visited when traveling? Something happy if you want happy mood. If you ask like a dark question, you're gonna get a dark answer. So let's pay attention to how we lead conversations, because if we lead a conversation asking a question, we have to be aware of where we're going with our question too. It has to make sense. However, having said that, sorry, I think Devani needs to work a lot on its communication. And communication means also listening to what someone is telling us. Because when Julia Ruth keeps saying that she got scared and uncomfortable when he was shouting at her, he can't keep saying, oh yeah, but I wanted to take things off my chest. No, that's not an excuse. That's not an explanation. You need to say sorry and start working on not doing it again. Because if someone tells you that this behavior is scary for them, you need to hear it, not saying, oh, okay, I get you scared, but I need to take things off my chest. It doesn't work like that. So Devani, please, he needs to do much, much better. Anyway, let's move on. Let's hope he doesn't shout at her anymore, and they can find some sort of common ground. At the moment they don't seem to be finding at all. Well, let's talk about Grace and Ashley. there is such like a complicated dynamic there, I think, with these two. First of all, I'm going to say, I think Grace is not um, listening to what Ashley is saying. She's just hearing what she thinks he would say. Why? Because someone who says, please wear a dress, could mean either that they are controlling and think they have a say in how we present, or they could just be like a nice person who's like trying to give us like an advice or an indication on what's going to happen. Let me give you an example. 2 years ago, on my birthday, my partner took me to like a very nice restaurant, like a 2 stars Michelin restaurant in London, and I didn't know where we were going. It was a surprise. So he said, when you get ready, dress up. And I'm glad he did, because had I shown up there in jeans and Dr. Martens like I usually do, I would have not been happy. So, but here is the difference. I know him. I trust him. I know that even if he says wear that, he's not trying to control me or the way I look. I already know that. So when he says wear something nice, dress up, wear heels, whatever he says, never I'm gonna think, oh, he wants to control me and what I look like. No. Grace doesn't have that. She doesn't know Ashley. She doesn't have that trust. They haven't built it yet. So, and also, what she knows about him is that he's like old school and traditional. So, of course, she's going to be worried when she hears wear a dress, because she's going to think, is he trying to, like have a say on how I present and what I look like? And I understand that. I wouldn't want that. But I think in that situation, what we could do when we don't know yet what's going on is not assume, always give people the benefit of the doubt, and ask genuine questions that come from genuine curiosity to understand. Could you wear a dress? Why do I need to wear a dress? Answer. Because we're going somewhere really nice, and maybe I thought you would want to wear something appropriate for the place, but I'm just letting you know you can choose what you want to wear. Now you know that maybe that can you wear a dress or just something like that didn't mean any type of like I want to control you. It just meant I want to let you know, just in case you get there and then everyone is wearing cocktail dresses and you wearing shorts and you feel out of place. So I'm going to let you know, and that is a nice thing to do. If then you choose to go in shorts to a place where everyone is in a cocktail dress, it's your choice. I just wanted to let you know. Yeah. So ask that question. Where are you coming from? Why are you saying that? Genuinely open to an answer. And also, if they say, wear a dress because I want my woman to always look a certain way next to me, then you know that they are controlling. And you don't have to try to guess why they asked you. You have your answer. You don't need to argue about intentions, and you can move on. So let's ask questions and be curious. It's always the easiest way to understand where our partners are coming from. Do they have good intentions or not? We don't need to guess. We just need to ask. But anyway, there is something about watching Grace and Ashley interacting at the commitment ceremony that made me cringe so much, and also like I don't understand the expert's point of view. I don't know if it's the editing. I don't know what's going on, but I didn't like that. So why are we discussing the fact that they bought contraceptive, the fact that they were kissing, and that when Grace changed their mind, this is mixed signals for Ashley, and now he's confused. Why are we discussing that? Hello? Consent? I'm sorry. We have a right to withdraw consent at any time. But we were kissing, I don't care. But we were naked, I don't care. When I change my mind in any moment, I change my mind and I say, sorry, I'm not comfortable with this anymore. That's it. End of the story. We don't need to discuss it or be like, oh, but you made me feel confused and I got mixed signals. It's not mixed signals. It's me wanting to do something in this moment and not wanting to do it in this moment. And that's all the explanation that I need to give. If I want, I can say, look, you know what, like I felt a bit in my head in that moment. I got a bit uncomfortable, so I wanted to stop. Yeah, I can say that. There's nothing wrong with being open and trying to explain what's going on with us. But coming from a place of, oh, she went all the way to buy contraceptive and then she said, no, so what? She had all the rights to do that. I don't see why we're discussing that as if it was something strange that she did. I'm very confused by this, and I hope we're not sitting there and making someone feel guilty because they have boundaries and because they express their right to consent to something, because that would be really upsetting if we were doing that. So let's see what happens in the next episodes with these two, and let's talk about Lee and Leah. What happened with them is that Lee got a little bit jealous because she thought Leah was flirting with Rebecca. Leah was a little bit pleased by this. She said, oh, you know, like, I think that means that you have feelings for me. And I want to stop everyone there because, yes, okay, in this case, Lee kind of looked inward and said, oh, you know what? Actually, I think I do have feelings for you, and I work to bring them up and understand them better. So, fair enough. In this case, maybe it was true. But in general, someone getting jealous is not a sign that they love us, that they have feelings for us. Well, jealousy is a feeling, but romantic feelings for us. Jealousy can come from a lot of different things. For example, insecurity. If I am so insecure in myself that I need validation from someone else to feel seen, to feel, worthy. And if someone is giving me that validation, that they look at me as if I were the best person in the world, if they withdraw that attention from me and give it to someone else, I could feel shaken, like, oh, what's going on? I don't have the validation anymore. I don't feel that good about myself anymore. And we start feeling jealous because we want that validation back. So I've been in that situation. I used to be with someone who treated me like dirt, who did all the manipulation, lying, cheating, you name it. But every time, because it took me a few times, unfortunately, to get rid of him, but every time I was like, you know what, this can't go on. You're not giving me anything. I'm just gonna walk away and start opening up towards maybe meeting someone else. The crying, the begging, the jealousy. I can't watch you with someone else. But he wasn't crying over losing my love, because it wasn't my love that he wanted. It was the validation that my love provided that he needed. And losing that validation, yeah, it was a tragedy, you know? It doesn't mean that he loved me in any way. So please, let's pay attention to this. Let's not assume that because someone is jealous or, like even crying because we're with someone else, it means they love us. We have to look at the big picture, not just the jealousy in itself. Anyway, let's see, like I'm very curious to see how it evolves between Lee and Leah, because, maybe Lee can actually let these walls down and open to Leah, and hopefully they could, have a great relationship. Let's see. Let's talk about a lovely, lovely couple, Kia and David. So they've had their first argument. It doesn't matter what the argument was about. What matters is how, even through that, they are showing each other support. They're being open. They're saying, you know, there is a change in energy. They say, both said, like, I can feel the tension, it's uncomfortable, but we'll make it. They have each other's back. They know they had an argument, and they still want to help each other to get over it. These two guys, I'm sorry, like they're amazing. Um, and one thing that really made me think is David saying he is very, very insecure. He doesn't see himself as like lovable or, desirable. But he says, Kia makes me feel loved and desired. Let's pay attention to this. We always say before we get into a relationship, we need to love ourselves. And I agree to that 100%. But what does loving ourselves look like? Does it have to look like, I know I'm so beautiful, I know I'm so confident? Does it have to look like that? It looks different for everyone, but this is a way in which we love ourselves. When we are open to hearing someone else tell us that they can see our worth, that they desire, that they can see how beautiful and amazing we are. First of all, one way in which David is showing love to himself is by having compassion. He's saying, "Okay, I'm insecure. I need time, and I need time to work on it and be better." Compassion for himself. This is a form of self-love. Two, some at some point in our healing process, we might get to a point when we're still not able to see how beautiful, great, special, unique we are, and lovable and desirable we are. We still don't see it, but we understand that the reason why we don't see it is not because we are not these things. It's because our insecurities filter them and don't let us see them. However, we love ourselves enough to know that we have those things. And if someone else can't see them, it's because they can see us without the filters of insecurities that we have. So this is self-love as well. Thinking, he loves me, he desires me. I don't see all that he sees, but I trust that he sees it. This is also self-love. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm so perfect. You don't have to be at your, and also self-love is always in progress. I don't think we'll ever get to a point where we'll have mastered self love. It's continuous learning and continuous letting love flow to us. And David is doing it. So when we say before getting in a relationship, we need to love ourselves, I think David is doing that. He's loving himself, even though he's very insecure about himself and his, looks and everything about himself is very insecure. Yet he is loving himself, and this is why this relationship is working. Well done, guys. One couple that we lost this week, unfortunately, are Paul and Anita. They both wrote leave. They didn't want to stay in the experiment. I'm sorry they didn't, open themselves up a little bit more. Both of them, I think. Um, so they said that Anita was on a journey to find love and Paul was on a journey to find himself, and so these were incompatible. I don't think so. I think that the two things can be very compatible because finding love is finding yourself. You can't find love unless you have found yourself. And finding love is not a race, as I said before. I think Anita was a little bit too rushing into we need to know today what's going on. I don't know. This is what it looked like from what I saw. But I'm sorry it didn't work for them, and best luck to both of them. This week we saw new couples as well, so we have a lot more to say about the old couples that we haven't discussed right now and the new couples that entered this week. But I'm gonna leave it at this for now, and we're going to talk more about new dynamics and what's happening in next week's episode. See you soon. Bye.